Today we'll talk about reflections, day 2. We'll specifically talk about two different reflections, the reflecting across the y equals x line and the reflection across the y equals negative x line. So two different types of reflections. Like the day before, we'll learn about two different rules that will help us find the image of our figure. All right, so let's look at our notes. So you have a foldable here, right? Looks very similar like the day before, but we'll be using different rules. We're looking for something a little bit different. Let's talk about the first reflection, okay? So yesterday we talked about the reflection over the x and the y axis. Today we'll go over a reflection not on the axes but on some lines, okay? So let's look at the first line of reflection. So I'll highlight it in red here. So here where I'm highlighting this blue line, we can see that it's going to be a reflection over this particular line. Like yesterday, they'll be the rule that we'll be using to kind of find our answer, okay? As you can see, the original point, this is your old point, is negative 3 comma 2. And when it's reflected over this line, this is where it landed. P prime 2 comma negative 3. Okay, so it's reflected across from it. Now, our rule that we'll be using for this reflection over y equals x, it'll be where you just have to swap the position of y and x in your point. Okay, there's no change of sign. You're swapping your x and your y. Let's do some examples to get a hang of how to use this rule. The first example, it says, reflect the point negative 2 comma negative 5 according to the rule. And it's reflecting over the y equals x line. And we're going to be using that swapping of the position. So let's look. This is your x. This is your original y. I know I have my original point, your old point, and you're trying to get the new point. And so we don't know what that new point is going to be, but we do know that it's going to have that change of position, right? So let's write our old point. It's negative 2 comma negative 5. To get the new point, all I'm going to do is swap your numbers. Negative 5 is going to go first, and your negative 2 is going to go second. This is your new point with a reflection over the line y equals x. Okay, so all I did is swap those positions. Okay, so hoy vamos a hacer dos tipos de reflexiones nuevos. El día anterior hablamos de una reflexión sobre el axis X y el axis Y. Hoy aprendemos de dos reflexiones más. Van a ser una reflexión sobre la línea Y es igual a X y la otra reflexión es sobre la línea Y es igual a negativo X. Yo empecé con la reflexión sobre la línea Y es igual a X, ¿ok? Ese R grande, R mayúscula, tiene Y es igual a X al ladito. Eso te quiere decir qué tipo de reflexiones, ¿ok? La regla que vamos a estar usando para este tipo de reflexión, lo único que quieren que hagamos es que cambiemos la posición del X y del Y en el punto original. So, cuando yo hice este ejemplo 1, yo tenía mi punto original, que es negativo 2, negativo 5. Yo lo que hice es cambiar de posición el negativo 2 y el negativo 5. Ok, so negativo 2 estaba primero, el negativo 5 estaba en la segunda posición. Yo lo que hice es cambiarlos de posición. El negativo 5 ahora es el que empieza y termina con negativo 2. So, se cambió la posición. Es lo único que vas a hacer para esta reflexión sobre la línea Y es igual a X. ¿Ok? Lo único que tienes que hacer, no tienes que hacer cambio de signo. ¿Ok? Eso fue la regla anterior para cuando hicieron sus notas del día 1 de reflexiones, ¿ok? Para este tipo de reflexión solamente va a ser el cambio de signo. El cambio de posición. No es cambio de signo. Ok, vamos a hacer la siguiente ejemplo. Let's do the next example. It says -3, 2 is the image after a reflection across the line y equals x. Find the pre-image of that point. Okay, so a little bit different just because they're asking for the original point. Okay, so x comma y is how I start. I know this is my old point, and I'm trying to get my new point most of the time, right? And since this is a reflection over y equals x line, it told me right there in my example, I know I'm just swapping my x and my y. Now, they gave us the original point. Sorry, they give us a new point, is the image. So -3, 2 is the new point. So I put it second. Okay, what I'm trying to find is the original point, the old point. They gave me the new one, all right? I'm going to do the same thing that I have been doing. I'm just going to swap x and y, okay? Even though they gave me the new point, I can still do the same thing. Just apply the rule, and I can get my original point. Okay, so let's get the original point. -3 came first, and then it was 2. So let's swap them. Let's have 2 come first, and then we'll have -3 second. This is my original point. This is how it started, okay? So that's example 1 right there. Ok, en este último ejemplo, lo que hicieron es que nos dieron el punto nuevo y nos están preguntando que busquemos el punto original. Ok, es un poquito diferente. Pero vamos a hacer lo mismo, vamos a aplicar esa regla. So, cuando yo lo escribí aquí, el negativo 3,2 es el punto nuevo. ¿Ok? Por eso lo escribí yo aquí como la segunda parte. Yo buscaba esa parte. Lo que hice es aplicar la regla, cambié de posición ese negativo 3 y ese 2. Entonces 2 va primero, el negativo 3 va segundo. Tienes que agarrar el número y su signo y cambiarlo, ¿ok? Tienes que agarrar todo junto. All right, let's do the example that we have right here, right next to it, number 2. That one goes with my reflection over the y equals x line. It says, example 2, graph points D, 2, 1, E, 5, 1, and F, 4, 4. Then graph and label your reflection y equals x for this triangle DEF. Okay, so they gave us the original points, but they didn't put them in the graph. I'm going to go ahead and graph them. Okay, so D is 2, 1, so let's put them in there. D is 2, 1, and I have to find 2 and then go up 1. And this is my point D. 5, 1. This is my point E. And F, 4, 4. It's right on that line. It's going to be F. Okay, so what I'm going to do is connect the points, as you can see. So we have D, E, and F, and have a little mistake. I shouldn't have done that little dot there. It's just F. There we go. So D, E, F. All right, we need to find the new points. We're going to do that by using the rule that we learned, right? Swap X and Y. That's all we're going to do. So I need to find D prime. All right, so if 2 goes first and 1 goes second, I have to swap them in place, and 1 goes first, then it's 2. All right, E prime, 1 is going to go first and then 5. Again, swap the positions. F prime. This one, it doesn't really going to seem like we did anything. We have to swap the 4 and the 4, but it's the same number. It's not going to seem like we did anything, but that's okay. All right. I need to graph them. Now that I have my D prime, my E prime, my F prime, I'm going to go ahead and graph them. Como pueden ver, cambié las posiciones de los números para D, E y F. Y ya tenemos los nuevos puntos D prime, E prime y F prime. Los vamos a graficar en nuestro gráfico y terminamos. D prime 1, 2, 1, and then I go up to right there. This is D prime. E prime 1, 5, find 1, go up 4, go up 5. This is E prime. And then F prime 4, 4. This one actually stays in the same position, right? So this is my F prime. I'm going to connect my points. And you can see how there's a reflection over the line. Y equals X. Ok, so aquí yo puse mis puntos en el gráfico. Vemos que hay una reflexión sobre esta línea en azul que estoy... quería azul. Vamos a buscar azul. Esta línea que estoy delineando en azul es mi línea de reflexión. Y pueden ver que el triángulo negro y el triángulo rojo están opuestos. Hay una reflexión. Okay. All right. So we have example 1 and example 2 done. Let's do example 3 and 4, but we need to use our rule reflection over y equals negative x. A little bit different than we're used to, okay, because it's a reflection over negative x. So see how the line changes positions. Now it's going down. As you can see, this is your line of reflection, y equals negative x. Okay, and we have an original and a new point. Let's call this point P, and this is my old point. It reflected over this line, and now I have my new point, P prime. So original, old, new with the prime. What exactly are we supposed to be doing to our points if we have a reflection over y equals negative x? So how we had been doing it, we're going to swap positions, but when we swap the position of x and y, we need to also change the sign. Okay, so this is how it looks like. Negative y, negative x. Remember, the negative means change the sign. Cambia de signo. Ok, so para última reflexión que vamos a aprender, lo único que vamos a hacer para sacar nuestro punto, el punto nuevo, es hacer el cambio de posición, pero también el cambio de signo. Vamos a hacer las dos cosas, ok? So vamos a practicar eso. So let's start doing 3 and 4. Let's practice. It says reflect the point 4, negative 9 according to the rule. R for reflection, okay? That's what it means, R for reflection. And it's a reflection over y equals negative x, okay? So if I have my original point, my old point, I want to get my new point. And I'm going to do that by applying the rule negative y, negative x. All right, they gave us the old point. This is the old point. So it's 4, negative 9. I write it first, and I'm going to have to do my swapping of position and my change of sign. All right. So I can see that 4 goes first. Then I have that -9. Let's swap the position. So that -9 should go first, but it was -9. Now it's going to be a +9. I'm going to grab that 4 and I'm going to put it second in my point, okay? But originally it was a +4. Now it's going to be a -4, okay? And we have our new point. We swapped the position and we changed the sign of those numbers as well. Ok, so como pueden ver, busco mi punto nuevo. El original es 4, -9. Ok, so lo que vieron que hice, cambié de posición, pero también cuando cambié de posición, cambié el signo. Si era positivo, lo cambié a negativo. Si era originalmente negativo, lo cambié a positivo. Ok, so para 4, -9, yo sé que el -9, que va segundo, ahora va a ir primero en mi punto nuevo. Ok, pero el -9 no va a ser -9, tengo que hacer el cambio de signo también. So, era negativo, ahora es +9. So, positivo 9 va primero en el punto, como pueden verlo ahí. Yo lo puse primero, ¿ok? Y ese 4 se tiene que pasar a segundo término, a la segunda posición. So, era originalmente un 4, ahora es -4. Ok, so buscamos, hicimos esta regla y tenemos nuestro nuevo punto. Vamos a practicarlo otra vez con el ejemplo que hay ahí abajito. -2, 8 is the image after reflection across the line y equals -x. Find the pre-image. So we're looking for the old point. Okay, what is the old point? That's what they want, okay? Now, originally, they're giving us the old point, and then we're looking for the new point. We're doing something in the reverse, okay? Like we have been doing. So they're giving us the new point, okay? And we're looking for the old point. Okay, so let me just kind of start off here. I know I'm doing -y, -x. All right, we're looking for our original point. They gave us the new point, so let's write that down in here. It's -2, 8. We're still doing the same thing. Even if they give us the new point, how do we get the original? We're going to still apply the same rule. Let's swap positions and change the sign. So in the new point, -2 comes first. 8 is in the second position in the point. Let's swap them. Okay, so now I know that 8 should go first instead of second. So it's a +8. So when I write it, I'm going to write a -8. -2 is in the new point is first. If we're doing and applying this rule, -2 now should come second. And I have to have that change of sign. So I have to flip the sign. So it was negative. Now it's going to be a +2. And this is my old point. Ok, esta regla es la regla más difícil porque estamos haciendo dos cosas en uno. Estamos cambiando posición, cambiando los signos también. Ok, so con práctica es como se van a hacer mejor. Yo busco el punto original. Ok, me dieron el punto nuevo. Lo único que tengo que hacer es hacer esa regla, aplicar la regla, cambiar el signo y también cambiar las posiciones, ¿ok? So, el punto nuevo es -2,8 y yo busco el punto original. En el punto nuevo, -2 es el que está en la primera posición y 8 está en la segunda posición. Vamos a cambiarlos de posición. Ahora 8 debe de ir primero en el punto nuevo que estamos buscando, el punto original, ¿ok? Y era +8, cambio los signos también, por eso tengo este -8, ¿ok? So cambié de posición, cambié de signos. En el punto nuevo que nos dieron, era -2 y iba primero. Entonces yo lo puse segundo y cambié de signo, era negativo 2, ahora es positivo 2. ¿Ok? Y tenemos nuestro punto original, lo que buscábamos. ¿Ok? Let's do the last example, example 4. Move this a little bit more. There we go. Okay. Graph the points, and I already graphed them for you. Okay. And then it says, use the rule for reflection y equals negative x and apply the rule. Okay. So if I'm using the reflection over the line y equals negative x, I'm using this rule where we're swapping positions and swapping the signs like we've been doing, okay? So I'm just going to kind of put the points here a little bit clearer for you that you can see in the triangle. This time we didn't have to graph them. It's a little bit nicer for us. All we have to do is apply the rule, and then those points that we get, let's graph them in our graphing paper. All right, so let's look. We have D, that's 2 comma negative 1. I need to find D prime. All right, so 2 goes first. Negative 1 is in the second position. Let's flip those. So negative 1 should go first, but we need to change the sign. It was negative 1. Now it should be a positive 1. That 2 that goes first in the original point now is going to come second, and it needs that flip of sign. It was a positive. Now it's going to be a negative 2. Ok, so yo tengo mi punto original D, que es 2, negativo 1. Para mi punto nuevo, tengo que cambiar la posición y cambiar el signo. Entonces, yo sé que en mi punto original, negativo 1, va segundo. Y en el nuevo punto va a ir primero, ¿ok? So, el negativo 1 se cambió a ser positivo 1. Cambié de posición y cambié de signo. Era negativo, lo cambié a positivo. El número 2 está en la primera posición en el punto original. Entonces va a estar en el segundo posición. Y era positivo 2, ahora es negativo 2. Voy a hacer lo mismo para los demás. Cambiar posición, cambiar de signo. All right, let's find E prime. So 2 is first, then it's 5. Let's change the position. Let's put 5 first. It should be negative 5. And then it's going to be negative 2. Okay, notice I changed position. I flipped the signs. All right, F prime. I have a 5 that comes first, and then I have a 0 that comes second. That 0 should be first, and we need to flip the sign. But remember, there's not a positive or a negative when it comes to a 0. So 0 is just going to come first. No change of sign. There's not a negative 0. There's not a positive 0. 5 is going to go second, and I need to flip the sign. So it was a positive 5. Now it's a negative 5. All right. We're almost done. Let's graph D prime, E prime, and F prime. All right. So D prime is 1, negative 2. So let's find 1. So I found 1 in my x-axis. Let's go down 2. And it's 1, negative 2. So this is my D prime. So I'm labeling it. E prime, negative 5, negative 2. Let's find negative 5 in our x-axis. Okay, so remember, this is your x-axis. So negative 5 is here. I'm going to go down 2 because it says negative 2. And this is where my point is going to be for E prime. Okay, let's do F prime, 0, negative 5. So let's find 0 in my x-axis. It is right here in the middle. And then I'm going to go down 5. So my F prime is going to be right there. Oop. All right. You can see clearly we have this reflection over this particular line. All right, and this is how you do these last two reflections on day 2. You do have homework, so go ahead and get started on that homework. Good luck.